a dance performance. But thank you all. Welcome for being here to celebrate our very own Nkechi Taifa. Nikichi for a long time. First is going to be Carolyn Chambers. Here you go. You guys can come on into the room. Where you can stand there. I'm just moving. Okay. Hello. Is this working? Okay. I'm the last person to ask about tech devices.
I'm Carolyn Chambers. For those of you who don't know me, I help run the advocacy program here. I'm delighted to see so many friendly faces. Is this one better?
Yes.
Sorry. Shout out to Jasmine Mickens, who and she has an awesome program for the evening, and it's jam-packed. In fact, I think we're already running overtime, and we just started.
But now we know the symbol, the sound to move people along. All right.
So I'm just going to be super brief and then turn it over to two of my other colleagues here. So I feel so honored to have worked with and learned from if you've ever been in a meeting with Nikichi, you know there are certain expressions, Nikichi-isms, you might say, that she likes to use. And one of them in particular comes to mind when I think about who she is and why we are honoring her tonight. Nikichi is the quintessential mover and shaker. And I actually looked up Google's definition of mover and shaker. I believe they have one. And it is a powerful person who initiates events and influences people. A powerful person who initiates events and influences people. Not only is she a mover and shaker, she's a mover and shaker for justice. Inspires all of us. So I want to thank you for all that you do and will do. And I'm going to miss you, but I look forward to continuing our partnership for many years.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, next we're going to hear from Steve Rickard here, who runs the DC office.
I know we don't have a lot of time. All I want is 1 minute for every year that Nikichi is Well, so there's no way that I'm going to be able to do justice to Nikichi with the amount of time that we've been asked to limit it to. People who work with me know that there's a phrase that I like to use, which is that everybody is a package, nobody is a complete package. But Nikichi comes pretty close. You know, there are some people who can navigate the intricacies of the Hill and, you know, who can do both the personalities and the politics and they can get stuff done. And then there are people who can fire up a room and get people inspired to do the work. And then there are very, very few people who can do both. And Nikichi is one of them. It's been a privilege to work with Nikichi. It's been fun working with Nikichi. But I also wanted to say that Nikichi is also a neighbor. And I've had an opportunity to know her and to watch her raise her wonderful daughter. I had a chance to, not as many as I would have liked, but I had a chance to also meet her wonderful mother. And so I've also seen Nikichi as a daughter and as a mother. And this is a strong, powerful family. Those apples don't fall far from those trees. So, Nikichi, it's been a privilege. It's been a blast. I just am so excited to see the next chapter in this already very exciting book. So,
all right. Thank you. from Morton Halperin, who opened the OSFDC office a few years ago and has worked with Nikichi for a long, long time.
Long time.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I know to follow the rules from Nikichi, which is I have 30 seconds. It's very hard to know when you have to make a decision whether you've made the right decision. And even looking back on it, it's often hard to know whether you've made the right decisions. But I've made 2 decisions in my life that I'm very proud of and that I know were the right decisions. The first one was to hire Nikichi to work with me at the American Civil Liberties Union, and the second was to hire Nikichi to work in his office. I'm proud of both, and I'm confident that both, in fact, help the world to be a better place.
Yeah.
I intended to steal one of Steve's favorite lines, and I was afraid he was going to use it. And since he did not, I will.
All right.
I learned from Steve that nothing good happens in Washington unless there's somebody who wakes up every morning determined to figure out what has to be done today to make it happen, and doesn't succumb to the Washington disease of knowing that it is impossible to get anything done. And Nikichi embodies that. She came here determined that the disparity between crack and cocaine was going to be narrowed, that people who had been subject to this awful injustice were at least going to get some form of justice. And she did that. And I think we're all proud of her for that and for many other things that she's done.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Right now, we're going to watch for a few minutes the Justice Roundtable video here.
Organizations working in Washington on federal criminal justice policy reform. The nitty-gritty of the roundtable is this working group, and that's where strategy is discussed, brainstorming is done, and we can really, really get down in the weeds. And that's the lifeblood of the Justice Roundtable. Is more general public gatherings for those who aren't necessarily enmeshed in the day-to-day work of the working groups can still get a feel for what is happening and what is going on. The Justice Roundtable was the catalyst behind the passage of the Second Chance Act in 2008. Sentencing Reform Working Group helped to usher in the passage of the Fair Sentencing Act. Work very closely with respect to the Obama-era clemency initiative, which resulted in the release from unjust incarceration of over 1,700 people.
The fact that we have come together this evening, brought together, we got the call from the Justice Roundtable and we all responded, and it couldn't be a more critical and important time for us to share an evening like this, but be together under one roof, reminded that we are all in this together.
Right. If you aren't already, please start following Justice Roundtable at Justice Roundtable. You know how it is on Twitter with characters and stuff. So next we are going to hear from Nicole Austin Hillary, who's going to represent the group that many of us in the room are a part of, the Sisters Solace Sisters in Criminal Justice.
I don't need this.
It's for the folks on the phone.
Oh,
No,
it's
I'm
for the
kidding.
Anyway, this is about Nikichi. as Jasmine just said, Solace for Sisters was started literally, 11 years ago now? And it is a gathering. It is a gathering of African American women, other women of color, who work on issues around criminal justice, social justice. We are passionate about these issues. And it is not just about our collective passion around these issues, but it's also about our collective passion for one another and supporting and loving on other Black women and women of color. And we have been a strong sisterhood, and one of our main rules, Solace is that while we love on each other, we do not hate on our brothers. Nikichi, and we don't talk about work, but we do emergency sessions when we need to. Nikichi has really been such an integral part of the of Solace. And she really has been, Nikichi, and I say this lovingly, you've been somewhat of almost like a godmother for all of us. You've been a godmother, leading us, guiding us, own it. Leading us, guiding us, mentoring us, and loving on us, and showing us the way. So for that, we love you, we honor you, and we thank you.
Every time I see Nikichi, she's carrying some new potion or something. We have to get rid of plastic, right? That's right. So this is for you from Solace.
Oh, my neighbor, that's how you put group.
You can open this one. This is also from your Solace. This is the Solace for Sisters. Say hey.
Oh, wow. Solace sister.
So much love for Nikichi. Next, we're going to hear from Jessalyn McCurdy from the ACLU. She is often referred to as Nikichi's partner in crime in all justice reform. And the amazing Kara Cook, leadership conference, financing projects in the house.
Good evening, Nikichi and everyone. Glad to be here today on behalf of Justice Roundtable and the Sentencing Reform Working Group. I met Nikichi 15 years ago when I started at the ACLU, and my life has not been the same since. She has been like a hurricane that's blown through my life, my family's life. Nobody's life has been the same since we met Nikichi, but we love her. She has taken us on many trips, both vacations and just trips in general. But we love you dearly. Oh, the work trips. That's what Jasmine reminded me of. But we love you dearly, Nikichi. We are so happy for your new journey. And I often have to remind Nikichi what she has accomplished in her years here at OSF. And I think the Justice Roundtable video was a good look at the things that Nikichi and many of, if not all the people in the room have accomplished with Nikichi's leadership. And so we are just honored to be here to celebrate you, Nikichi. And so what we have done is we put together a collection of some pictures in the name of the Justice Roundtable. We're asking folks to sign on to it. It's on an easel outside, and then we're going to frame it and give it to you.
We're going to hear some testimonials from folks in the audience. First, we're going to hear from Wendy Patton, and I will take hands. There will only be 3 other people.
I know, but how do you choose? Well, you know, work me.
I first met Nikichi at a meeting of the Justice Roundtable, and I was lucky enough then to come here and work with her. So I just want to take a moment after so many years to give you admiration and respect and gratitude, and to tell you what an inspiration you have been to me as a colleague and a friend working on these issues. When Nikichi told us at staff meeting that she was going to be leaving, my colleague Mike Yamate and I were joking afterwards that, well, she made that sound like it was a mid-career transition. She's just going on to some other work like people so often do. And then I reflected on the fact that her beloved mother had made it to 94 years old. God bless her. And I thought, this is a mid-career transition. She's going to be doing this work for 30 or 40 more years, for which we are enormously grateful for all the good that you will do. So I will miss you tremendously. Thank you for being such a wonderful colleague, but we look forward to working with you and seeing all the great work you can do.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you want to come up here? Oh, Brenda King, sorry. That's okay. You're welcome. Here you go.
Okay, I just am gonna be real quick and taking the liberty of the mic, because other than homeboy in law and
Elementary school.
all right, I take liberties because I knew Nkechi before she went to law school. Well, you went to Washington Office on
In Africa. I was in law school while I was working full-time.
And she is, first of all, she has not aged. Not aged. And she has not changed. That's all I want to say. Continue to be who you are. We love you.
Next, we're going to hear from Judge Burnett.
Thank you. Nikichi is like a daughter to me. Because when I came to Howard in 1952,
I wasn't born yet.
her father, and he inspired me to excel. That's right. And I was and I was a young boy from Spotsylvania, Virginia, that had not even had geometry in high school, and my English wasn't up to par. And I wanted to earn 11 hours of credit my first semester. But he said, Arthur, you can do it. Oh. That's all right. And I persuaded the dean to let me take 23 hours to make it for the shortfall and made straight A's and then I'm one in my class because of it. And the rest of the history.
Judge Burnett.
I can talk about when we met, but I think it's more important to mention that there are thousands of people who are not in this room.
Yes.
Who have been affected by Nkechi Taifa's heart and spirit and determination. And you know, dynamite is in a little tiny package.
Yes, it is.
That's what she is. Just working with her to try to bring people home. I saw her fight. I saw her never give up. I saw her push for people whom she never met. People who would never know her name. That's who she is. And so it's my honor to be here to salute you.
So we come to the roast. We're going to do a little roasting here. And I am happy to have the mic first. I want to tell you about how I have wanted to be Nkechi Taifa when I grew up, for basically my whole life. like Jesselyn said, since anyone's ever met her, right? And, you know, it's Nikichi who, you know, helped me to think about what it was to be a Black woman doing this work authentically for myself. Because I saw her authentically being herself. So much so that we used to need an escort when we went into the White House. So we're going to the White House. This was the old days, not today, not these days.
Right.
And we're going to the White House with our bags and our talking points, and Jesselyn, Nicole, everybody around the room was going, and they would say, where's Nikichi Taifa? And she would, you know, the small dynamite, I'm right here. And they were like, okay, we're sending an escort for you. And I just knew I had finally made it into the Black Liberation Army. And if not, I was chasing. So, you know, this was such a, you know, we're all complex. Like somebody said, we're complicated, you know, people are a whole lot of stuff to deal with. And so I couldn't reconcile how Nikichi could be so radical and still only love plain vanilla ice cream. Like she's such a radical swing. I couldn't really put my mind around it, but we all know Nikichi works really hard. You heard about how she was working when she was in school. You know about how the amazing care that she and relationship that she and her mom had. You know her amazing daughter Mariama, who now has 2 degrees. Still living at home. But you know, I like to think too that I helped Nikichi raising Mariama because I was the one who desensitized her to tattoos. And then Chris came on board too. So now, Nikichi, your worst nightmare has come true. It turns out, me and Mariama have even hung out at concerts. I know. So I'm kind of like your daughter now. So, you know, speaking of that, you know, Nikichi brings people into her life in intimate ways. She, you know, provides community and she really build space for people. So a couple of years ago, she decided, I'm gonna pronounce my name differently. It's gonna be Nkechi, the way it's supposed to be pronounced in Nigeria, and I've been doing it my own way. But now I finally heard why I need to change it, and I'm gonna change it. So listen, we met her where she was. And for about 2 weeks, she was Nkechi. And now, she's got to be an Nikichi, because she knew she had to just be her original self. Nkechi could not encompass everything that Nikichi is. So, you know, her busyness, you know, Jesselyn and I used to often provide Nikichi with probably the only drug she's ever taken, and that was the B12. Because she would be so tired from all of the work that she was doing here at work, at home, in the world. And so sometimes we would nudge her and give her a little piece of B12 gum to get in her step. And it worked. So we're going to get you some of that for the consulting group, because you're going to need it. You're going to be busy. So I know Jasmine's giving me the cue. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we're going to have Gretchen work on the garden and give Nikichi a crown. I'm sorry, this wasn't on the agenda.
The outline of what I was going to say. I was just joining the Rose.
Okay.
No, I can't. No, okay. I can't. I don't know what
I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Here, you
Here, Gretchen.
Oh, Gretchen, you know everything.
I'm still Gretchen. All right, so Nkechi is really the reason I'm here. Not only just standing here and working out of the DC office, as well as being an OSI. So I definitely was working attending, organizing, focusing really in DC areas, and there are very few people who do national work, and y'all know who y'all are, who cared about our local problems. And at that time, Gina and Nkechi just went out of their way to make sure that local advocates still had a seat at what was a national roundtable. And they made me and all of my colleagues and partners feel so welcome. And they also fed us. Every meeting. And I'm like, what's this about? And then every time I come, they're like, oh, we have food here. And I'm like, oh, really? I got to work at this place. And several years later, and free meals, I am now here. And I am actually supposed to be in New York, working with Lenny's team, but I just fell in love so much with Nkechi, with the group here, with the entire DC office, but it really was based on the culture that was created with everybody in this room. It is very hard. I'm very proud, but it is very hard for me to think of OSF without Nkechi. But I know she accomplished what no one else would be able to do, which was build out a Justice Roundtable that is not going to be separating from us, but actually a spin-off. And so I'm really excited to continue to extend the free food privileges to ciders. But the key thing is that Nkechi is with me. We have set this up, and I was actually asking if maybe she could come through with like a Coming to America type thing. She's Queen to me. Little did I know, they're like, yeah, you know we already have dancers. I'm like, of course you do. Of course you do. However, the princess, next queen in line, and I did have something that we felt would really make certain that this moment would fully embrace who you are to so many of us, which is a queen.
I got this big ball on my head.
No, it's made for you. It can be taken in the back. She loves to
Whoa!
She's the queen of so many I actually see her as the queen of technological disorders and stuff. And unfortunately, I am now inheriting that crown. And so that is why I particularly am missing her. Sad that she's leaving, because now all of the times when we have our
Get some
meetings,
super glue.
I will be the one trying to connect and not just Nkechi embarrassing herself. So I will miss you, Nkechi. I will miss having a sister who also does not love technology and is trying to connect to New York from DC. But I know you were not going to be so far away, and did want to at this time just. If folks are transitioning through or listening through, please share with Nkechi your moment of impact. You know, so many of us were impacted by her before we met her. And you can write a note and throw it in there. We have different eras. It's just like a timeline and we're going to
Okay, we're going to hear from Chris Scott now. Thank you, Justin. That was awesome. Love the
Yeah, I don't do public speaking because nobody really knows what's coming out of my mouth, but yeah, we can do it. Oh, Chris! It's Chris Scott. There's my daughter. Oh, Marvin in here. The thing says low bad. I just Chris, give me the phone. Let me fix the line.
Okay, next we're going to hear from Andrew. Andrew, where you at? Okay, here we go.
Sorry guys, I have to read. There's just too much good material, so. Alright. So So I think there's a time in everyone's career, one time where you dream of this moment where you can be up on stage with friends and family roasting your boss. Not me, but others. So I'm really living someone else's dream right now. And it gives me no pleasure to such is life. So let's start with some low-hanging fruit. Have folks been to Nikichi's office?
It's free now.
Stacks upon stacks of papers hidden by, actually, I think it might be this blanket. Not fooling anyone. There's either papers or a body. But an accumulation of stuff over a distinguished career, many would say. Some, maybe not. But I poked my head in today. For the first time, I finally saw the exact color of the desk in which I've been here for 7 years, and it is a light brown. Just the last thing about this. Who prints so much paper? Moving on. So which leads me to Nikichi's renowned IT skills.
Heard a little bit.
That's the joke.
Yeah, that's the joke.
But I remember Nikichi summoning me to her office with a welcoming Andrew, and me excited, wanting to know what the future held. What did Nikichi have up her sleeve? What project were we going to work on? And I come to find out there was no project, but rather Nikichi did not know how to turn on her computer. And to boot, I wasn't even okay. Well, are you waving me out?
No, I'm just telling people to push in because people are like by this
I wasn't
place.
even the go-to
But
person
yes,
for this.
also.
Yeah, okay.
Now that you mention it.
All right. Okay, I'll move on to the good stuff.
Great.
You've self-described square,
Yes, I'm a square.
but you've always been willing to shake things up.
Yeah.
And despite sometimes at OSF them not wanting that shake-up, so I really appreciate that boldness out of you. I appreciate being a small part of that. You've always been on the move, and you've been able to accomplish so much in your time both at OSF and your time throughout your whole career, really. And maybe this is because you were taking calls while walking, which Chris alluded to. If anyone hasn't seen this, it's extremely distracting. It's terrible to be on a video call with it. But anyway, I'm sure everyone in the room here has that aha moment where Nikichi stands up, kind of waves her head and really just speaks truth and gets folks inspired. I think we can all kind of point to one or a million moments just like that. So I just really appreciate that and the way you were able to inspire me and so many people in this room. I think the Justice Roundtable is what it is, not because of the free lunch that we provide, and I had the honor for a long time of purchasing. But really, people are inspired by you, Nikichi, and the community that you've been able to build here. So I just want to appreciate it. So I'll stop there.
Okay, so we had one roaster. Is this no? Okay, so one. What is going on here?
Nikichi, can you help him out?
Okay, the battery is dead, of course. But we had one roaster who couldn't be here today because her daughter is sick, and that was Sarah Prey. And she wanted to apologize and tell you she loves you. And her kid is sick. But Sarah Prey among many things here, substantive and, big contributions to OSF, is also our informal fitness trainer. And so, thank you. She would oftentimes give different ones of us little, fitness lessons or training sessions downstairs in the little gym. So Sarah has this story where Nikichi has been talking to her about getting fit. Many of you often know Nikichi's taking her dance classes and, on a diet and not eating any of the food, but eating the food. There's no judgment. But Nikichi has worked this deal out with Sarah to go downstairs and work out in the gym. So Sarah's down there ready. She's got, probably a sweatband on, and she's like ready to go. And Nikichi shows up in her workout gear, but she's got her kitten heels on. She's like ready to get on the treadmill. And Sarah's like, what is this? But those are Nikichi's warrior shoes. So it doesn't matter if she's working, pounding the pavement for justice or for her health. She can do it in kitten heels. So we had one more person on the agenda, and that was V. Campbell. Is V in the room? V in the room.
I can go for it.
All right. Well, I am going to now turn the rest of the program over to the lady of the hour.
All right.
It's Nikichi's turn to talk, and for us to continue to listen.
So anybody knows anything about me, you know I gotta have my stuff. Oh, people, I don't know if you saw the logo on my new card, but it's the symbol of my art, with the wings and scales, and it's justice. And then when I saw this fits in with that as well, Lady Justice. So I really appreciate that. Needless to say, I cannot begin to tell you all how humble I feel and am right now. This has really been a phenomenal farewell. I really thank each and every one of you. My family, my long-term friends of over 30 years, okay. DC and New York OSF teams, Executives Alliance, Justice Roundtable, my solid sisters, everybody who has put up with my wild craziness, okay. I want to thank B and Andrew, Sakira and Carmen for all the help that you all have given me in the past at the Open Society. And now for the last several years, my right hand, where she is, come on up here, Jan. I'm telling you, she does it all. It's just really serendipity, just how you meet and connect with people. It's right here at the Justice Roundtable, so I'm not even going to tell the story, but it's serendipity, because things happen that are supposed to happen. And they're supposed to happen at the right time in which they happen. So thank you for coming into my life here at the Open Society. Colleague Chris Scott over there, Chris. With the Facebook Live, which I did do this morning, this afternoon, so you all can check out Facebook. So I really am indeed looking forward to my next chapter. I'm really thrilled to be able to continue the Justice Roundtable convening. I really want to thank you. Where's Steve? Steve, thank you. Carolyn, she was over here somewhere. Carolyn, yes, thank you, Carolyn. Patrick, who's not here. I'm really thrilled to launch my consulting firm, the Taifa Group LLC. New team advisory board members, and I'm thrilled to announce an association with Columbia University Center for Justice as a senior fellow. I am thrilled. So the remarks that I want to give this evening, I really want to just share some excerpts from a piece that I received inspiration to jot down after hearing a presentation from my longtime colleague, Ajua Ayatoro, that was called Mounting the Challenges and Claiming the Victory, where she expertly compared the growing movement for reparations in America to that of a train. So my adaptation is as follows. The justice movement is like a train. The train left the station during the enslavement era with the the enslaved demanding freedom that stripped them of their basic human dignity, the right to maintain families, and the right to be free from state terror. Sojourner Truth, Demar Vesey, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman got on that train, doing what they could to speak up, resist by any means necessary, right, and to even just quietly walk away into the night. Despite setbacks, the train did not slow down, but gathered more speed, rolling along. The train helped to get the 13th Amendment passed, but was unable to do it without the prison slavery clause. Neither slavery nor voluntary servitude shall exist except as punishment for a crime. The train, however, Secure, was not derailed by this clause, despite the proliferation of the peonage system, which essentially re-enslaved free persons as they worked off spurious debts. Despite the lynchings and bombings, despite, this is a techie thing, despite, hello, despite, okay, despite the terrorism, okay, yeah. I think after all these years, the train with its fits and starts, it slowed, but it kept charging forward. Ida B. Wells, Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X got on the train, trying to steer it in a righteous direction. They were all impacted by the legacy of enslavement. And although each had different ways of reaching the goal, the destination was the same, to get the passengers on the train to freedom. George Jackson, the Attica brothers, San Quentin Six got on that train during the early 70s, sparking the imagination of the modern era prison movement. But then tough on crime hit, accentuated with a bang as the crime bill of 1994 featured the largest expansion of the federal death penalty in modern times, the gutting of habeas corpus, the evisceration of the exclusionary rule, the trying of 13-year-olds as adults, the elimination of Pell education grants for prisoners, the refusal to address the crack powder disparity, and loads of money to states to lock up more and more people for longer periods of time, and the train nearly flew off the tracks. But Mort Halpern hired Diane Buss Tierney and Jean Guerrero and Nkechi Taifa at the train did not derail, but brought people in groups together that had been traveling separately in different cars on the train, such as Eric Sterling with the Criminal Justice Policy Foundation, Kevin Driscoll with the ABA, Julie Stewart from FAM, Scott Wallace from National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, Charlie Sullivan from CURE, Malcolm Young and Mark Maurer from the Sentencing Project, Wade Henderson from the NAACP, we're talking about back in the day, Hillary Shelton from the United Methodist Church, we're talking about the back in the day people. And over the next decade, the train continued slowly, but doggedly down the track, picking up new passengers and the formation of new organizations, one of those entities being the opening of the Open Society Policy Center in Washington, D.C. in 2002, under, again, the leadership of Mort Halpern, who again hired Jean Guerrero and Nkechi Taifa, and the Justice expanding the consolidation of the train's cars. And incarcerated people who had been coming out of the prisons became conductors on that train. Eddie Ellis and Divine Pryor and Roach Brown and Dorsey Nutt and Norris Henderson and Vivian Nixon and Charles Thornton and Susan Burton and Glenn Martin and Michael Blaine and more, educating the train's passengers on issues such as narrative change language, ban the box, higher education in prison, barriers to re-entry. And not long after that, a first wave of clemency recipients walked out of prison under the Clinton administration, with Kimber Smith emerging as the poster child for policy change. So along with the Justice Roundtable, the train picked up more cars to accommodate the proliferation of additional passengers, and the coalition from the previous decade was vastly expanded with the Drug Policy Alliance and Deborah Smalls Break the Chains, and the Justice Roundtable partners and allies such as Jessalyn McCurdy and Kara Gotts and Jeremy Hale. Y'all remember some of these folks. Jennifer Stitt, Mary Price, Jasmine Tyler, Nicole Austin Hillary, Angelin Frazier, Kanya Bennett, Gretchen Ward, Bill Mefford, Nicole Porter, Jose Ross, Judge Arthur Burnett, Lexa Kwame, y'all remember folks, Jenny Hood, Bill Wilson, Zerlene Hughes, Jody Kent Lobby, Christine Leonard, Sakira Cook, Michael Collins, and the list goes on and on. And the Justice Roundtable developed legislative advocacy and direct action strategies to fuel the train and increase its speed. The Roundtable's working group under the leadership of Jean Guerrero helped to bring about the passage of the Second Chance Reentry Bill in 2008 with unprecedented collaboration with politically conservative passengers who had become proximate to prison issues such as prison fellowships, Pat Nolan, as well as collaboration with passengers new to the train, new to Washington, new to working across the aisle, but determined to make a difference. The Roundtable's law enforcement and drug policy working groups helped to shine a light on the abuses in Tulia, Texas, where a young lawyer named Benita Gupta from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, armed with a Soros Justice Fellowship, Lenny, was making huge waves. And the Roundtable's Behind the Cycle project was advanced with Catherine Bean at the helm and the convening of a huge groundbreaking conference where advocates such as Nicole Porter came to Washington and stayed. Refocus the advocacy community's attention to the crack cocaine disparity, helping to spearhead the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010. And then Michelle Alexander's New Jim Crow hit the book stands, thrusting into the mainstream public domain what many others already on the train have been talking about for years. And then later Brian Stevenson's elevation of the connection from enslavement to mass incarceration. And both Michelle and Brian and Ta-Nehisi Coates captured the imagination of countless spectrums of people. The train picked up fuel and energy and imagination and passion. And more from the formerly incarcerated and impacted people's community and other groups and individuals began to get on the train at various stations. The train was filled with people embracing various perspectives on justice reform. Their ticket for the train was their determination to get justice and their willingness not simply to be passengers, but rather to become the workers and fuel for the progress of the train. And with all this increase in activity, the train went from one that traveled from the back rails to one that was in the main thoroughfares. Social justice fellowships blossomed, criminal justice-oriented films were released, advocacy efforts in the states picked up steam, and the Obama administration vowed to make a difference in the realm of criminal justice. And as more people were released from prison, women began demanding their rightful seat at the table, and their voices gained prominence. Andrea James and Topeka Sam and Amy Pofar and countless others. Children of incarcerated parents joined the train, and in era of Obama, clemencies came to the fore. Thank you, Cynthia Roseberry. Dan Jones jumped on board the train, and celebrity attention began to take center stage. Many who have been on the train for a long time started feeling crowded. Some who just got on the train, those who have been traveling for a long time. Yet, there was a certain excitement, a buzz going through the train that had a feel of anticipation, but also slight possessiveness. The train was moving and everybody wanted to own it, wanted to claim that it was their fuel, their ticket, their effort that was responsible for the train's momentum. The train began moving faster now, and at every stop it began picking up more and more passengers. Even Kim Kardashian came on board. The crowds outside the train clamor for a look as the train starts speeding down the track. Many of them clamored to see those with mainstream notoriety, tending to ignore the less famous, hardworking masses. There's disruption on the train. Bumps, disagreements about legislative strategies, executive interactions, questionable agendas, personal attacks. A low rumbling is going on, slowing the train down, rocking it left and right, right and left. There are hills and valleys, though, people, in every movement. This is nothing new. So we must forever keep our purpose in the forefront. The reason why we are on the train in the first place. We must remember that the train is not the province of one person or one organization or one political party. And we must recognize and honor that no one strategy will win the day. In order to get to our final destination, we need many different people and mechanisms and strategies. The train needs porters and engineers and conductors and cooks and fuel and seats and passengers, to name only some things. The train's fuel may be wood at one time, or coal at another time, and raw determination at another. We must respect and support all the strategies that are part of the justice movement, including public education, litigation, legislative lobbying, direct action. The train will get to the final destination, not with one, but with all efforts, as each strategy must be seen as supportive of the whole movement. And as the train keeps moving, as the mass movement to end mass incarceration grows, and has picked up some speed of its own, it picks up additional passengers, international passengers. It embraces the International Decade for people of African descent. And the train becomes an international carrier, linking the justice movement in the United States to the justice movements throughout the Americas, in Europe and in Africa. Thank you, Sue. Where are you? Mary, Alice, Kizito. The train is adding new cars day after day, month after month. And although there have been tremendous successes, the challenges and valleys at times do loom large. And so we pause and reflect, if only for a moment, to identify them in order to surmount them. Because after all, we cannot allow anything to stop the train's forward progressing. So in conclusion, let me ask you a question. When you're planning a vacation or a big trip, do you sometimes visualize being there, Trina, before you get there? Do you see yourself having fun with friends and relatives, or participating in a meeting, or obtaining some needed service? If you watch your visualization, you see that what you expected is often obtained. And the same is true for justice reform. Let's hold the vision of obtaining justice, Steve. Visualize us sitting around the table negotiating transformation, Carolyn. Picture a successful outcome in that negotiation, Mort. What does justice look like? Stay with that picture as the train traverses the land, picking up passengers, workers, and fuel along the way. Claim the victory, and then all the valleys will be just that, valleys that will be overcome. Claim the victory, and no power can stop us. Claim the victory now and see it unfold. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Can you? Yeah. I can see the vindication of our ancestors through the receptacle of justice system transformation. Can you? Yes. I can see the striking down of laws that maintain the vestiges of the enslavement era. What about you? Yes. I can see poverty-stricken communities being infused with resources to provide adequate housing and livable wages and other human rights. I see it. Do you? Yes. When you can see and imagine just what justice looks like, there is no question but that victory is ours. Thank
Take it away.
All right, when I say I go, can you all say Amen? I go. Amen. I go. Amen. I go. Amen. So this is a celebration from all of your work. Because everybody here, you know, they say it takes a village. Well, it has taken you all as a village. And each of you independently and all of us collectively to work in this area of justice. So as we conclude our program with dance and music, we want you to feel as though you can clap along. If you feel inspired to come out and dance to the rhythm, you can. Any of those things, because this really is a celebration of who you are. And I'm grateful that I've known Nkechi I've been in DC over 30 years. I've known her as a mother. She's a queen in the house, she's a queen at work, and she's a queen in the community. We want to celebrate her with this particular piece.
With Nikishi. So everyone